Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ladies of Sosa podcast. My name is Sarah.
And my name is Christine.
And first and foremost, we always want to give a huge shout out to our audience. And if you guys are new to our page, new to our community, we are a South Sudanese podcast, and we pretty much cover hot topics from a South Sudanese perspective. So we cover our cultural taboos, break down toxic social structures in our community. So today we're going to be talking about xenophobia. And
what is xenophobia?
So xenophobia is the fear or dislike or prejudice against foreign people. And that could be like if you're living in Africa and you're South Sudanese and you live in Uganda and you experience xenophobia from the local Ugandans or Kenyans. And that could, in our perspective, people, when we moved to America, a lot of us experience xenophobia from Americans. So there's nuances to the conversation, which is why we're excited to introduce our panel to you. So let's go ahead and introduce our panel. Who should we start with? Let's start with the fresh face. Let's start with Vida.
Hi, I'm Vida. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, and I just moved to Dallas. And I am Muru, my tribe.
Awesome. And what do you do for occupation?
I'm a school teacher.
What grade do you teach?
4th grade.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so were you doing that before you moved to Dallas? Or?
No, I did that once I moved to Dallas.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. We're excited to
so
have
excited
you.
to have you.
And then we're going to introduce the veteran. So,
The
Edward,
Fresh
the Fresh Prince of South Sudan.
Listen, what's good, y'all? Name is Edward Mitri. I know y'all missed me. I'm back to grace the presence of the Ladies of Sosa. It's always a good time being on this podcast represented by these amazing ladies. As y'all know, by the way of the Zande tribe, you get me. I'm also currently working, but I'm also a student focusing on kinesiology with a concentration in physical therapy. So like I said, sessions are free for the start, but once we get up there, I'm gonna have to start charging you. Let me stretch your leg real quick.
Oh, no. I told you, bro, you need to start from the beginning. Come on now. Like,
Listen.
time is money.
I gotta build a rapport first, but time is money.
I respect that, but Did you watch the last episode? Because you actually came up as one of the man crush,
I guess Mondays or
yeah,
just man
not even man crush, just man crushes. You actually came up. So did you peep? You see the picture that we used? Oh, you got to go back and watch it.
I love y'all too. Mwah.
Oh, stop it. Okay.
What y'all be saying? No bars.
No, stop. Okay.
Listen, I had to recommend you as a man.
Go ahead and
crush.
snitch on yourself.
I got to snitch on myself.
Listen.
I said the Azande Prince.
She said you were beautiful.
Yes.
She didn't say you was handsome. She said beautiful.
Hey,
That's different. When a woman says when the woman says a man is beautiful, that's like, that's next level. So
shout out to the Azande tribe.
Hello.
Big shout out.
Yeah.
Big shout out.
Big
Yes,
Edward.
yes.
Not
On
the
the
little
down.
one.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And
Go
next
KK.
we got another veteran that we haven't seen in a while, but we're always glad to have him in the studio. KK, please introduce yourself. Welcome back.
Missed you, bro.
Hello, everybody. My name's Kyle. Nice to meet you guys.
Not Kyle.
He got shaved and now he acting brand new.
Now he went back to Kyle.
Okay.
My name's Kyle. I am Sudanese, I guess you could say that. I work in forensic science. I am running for president of South Sudan in 2024.
Come on.
Is it even an election
Come
year?
on, KK.
It is an election
Give us
year.
your real
Let's be
introduction.
serious.
Assalamu alaikum, ya Junubin. My name.
Speak the proper Arabic. Redeem us, please, on this podcast
Yes.
from the
See you last
atrocity that happened last time.
To my people that understand, Assalamu alaikum. My name's KK. Koyam. I'm him.
You are him.
You are him.
Speaking of that,
Missed you, bro.
your clip on when you were speaking about your experience in Egypt kind of did, stirred up a little
Trauma
conversation. You said what?
I was trauma bonding with everybody.
Yeah.
I feel like you were speaking on something that's a very important conversation and topic.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and we'll clip it for the audience just in case you didn't see it.
When some of us have gone through Khartoum, discrimination, into Egypt, chocolate.
How old are you again?
I'm 30.
30.
They made songs about us. Fanaroda and St. Mary's in Egypt. They made songs about us.
I hear those stories and I
So-
feel so
but
bad.
I don't think-
I really do.
We used to fight every day going to school. You don't understand. Like, for real.
No, I heard it was
we used
bad.
to beat up Egyptians because of the songs they sung.
Oh, so you grew up over there? Yeah, I
We
heard it
spent
was
time
bad.
there. Like we used to fight Egyptians off of the songs they sang.
How long did you spend over
I
there?
was there for a year and a half.
Year and a half.
And for the year and a half, going to school every single day, we used to fight. We sit on our balconies. They say something, we run downstairs, we kick their ass. That's the reality of the world.
But it did numbers, and it started a lot of conversation. I think most people, I was actually surprised that there was a lot of Egyptian people in the comments that actually agreed and said, like, we need to do better.
However, there was a lot of people that, in my opinion, obviously I'm South Sudanese, I feel like they were gaslighting, but they were trying to say that everybody jokes, it's not that bad, or you're lying, or you're exaggerating, or that didn't happen. So we just wanted to run it back and have a bigger, deeper conversation about xenophobia from a South Sudanese perspective and how you personally experienced it, because I believe you. I've heard that same story from so many South Sudanese. So let's dive deeper into it and really expand on how this is a real issue that is a problem.
I think it's just from everyone on the outside that doesn't think it's or thinks it's being gaslighted or saying everybody jokes. It's all your perceptive of it, like your experience of what you go through. Like you could go back to the 1800s. There's people that say slavery was horrible. There's people like slavery wasn't that bad. It's all about how you experienced it. Just because you reacted to it differently does not mean that everybody else reacted to it the same way. So it's all truly about how you perceived it, how you went through it, and how it affected you internally as a person you are. I'm not going to run around and blame that for anything in my future. But I'm saying in that moment, we did experience being called hunga bunga. Like there are so many phrases of people throwing their prejudiceness and basically showing acts of racism towards you. But if you just want to say, oh, they're just joking, then you could say that.
Even songs.
There's songs, there's
I saw the hunga bunga comment on the video. Somebody said that that's like a common thing. What does that even mean?
It's a derogatory term, basically, essentially. It's us saying you are not one of us. You're an outsider, you're this, you're that, etc. So it's all about, like, if you go somewhere and people are calling you a porch monkey the whole time, okay. Oh, they're just joking. Or are they being serious about it?
Right.
How do you take it?
Right.
So.
And I think a lot of times it depends. You said it depends on how you perceive it, but it also depends on what side you are. Because if you're, a lot of those people who said that were Egyptian. So obviously it's not that serious to them.
Correct.
Because they're not the one experiencing it, you know? So they might see it as a joke, but you're the one who's actually on the other side of it, or other, South Sudanese are.
There were actually some dark-skinned Egyptians, too, who were like, even they were bullied. And they were actually Egyptian. So it's also gone as far as beyond just calling names. Some people were talking about how they were physically assaulted. Whether someone said a cigarette, like someone put out a cigarette on their skin, and they used to throw stuff from the balcony. So can you speak to that? Like, have you seen any physical violence?
All I know is, in my experience, there were times people would try to pour things off their balconies on you. But I was only there, luckily, to be there for only a year, me and our family. So a lot of things we dealt with is kids in the neighborhood, because you could say racism is taught from the homes. It comes out on your children. They go out to the streets and they project it out there. So a lot of our fights were with other kids in the neighborhood, all age groups, from, you could say I was 6 at the time, all the way up to teenagers and people in their late teens, etc. And then they're teaching the younger generation to do the same thing over and over. So it's just a repetitive cycle. But it's more of my experience. It's my experience, but I guarantee you there's people who are there till this day that are still, it's like growing up in a rough area. Say, don't go to here, because this is how they're going to treat you.
Yeah.
Don't go to South Dallas. You hear that all around Dallas. So don't be in the South. Don't go to South Dallas at night. Don't go here, because you're going to be looked at different.
Do y'all remember that story of the kid who he was with some of his Egyptian friends, and they had like tortured him on video? Remember that? You remember that story?
Correct.
We'll show it on if we can, if it's not too graphic.
مثلا بيضربونا.
هنا الناس المصريين في الشارع بيبقوا كويسين معاكي ولا لا؟
لا.
بيعملوا ايه؟
العيال بتجري ورانا بيضربونا.
ليه؟
من غير سبب. ضربوني. معرفش. هنا لما تروح في الشارع المصريين يضربونا ولا روح بلدكم وسخة ما يشتمونا يضربونا.
بيضربوا الناس بس. ايوه
بيشتموا؟
ايوه
بيشتموا يقولوا ايه؟
مش عارفة، انا بيجري مش بوقف.
كنت جنب بيتي المصريين جروا ورايا دورت. في مرة أخويا كان قاعد في السلم وراجل كبير زعق.
But there's also there's stories out there right now of Sudanese people being used as modern day slavery, being what you call maids and housekeepers for people against their will.
Yep, and they take your passports.
Like, it's still happening. So if that's happening in that society, what makes you think the experiences of what people are saying happened to them when they were there are not true?
And it's not just Egypt; it's Saudi Arabia,
Dubai,
everywhere. It
They're
happens.
used as khaddam, is like what they call, like, you know, you're like a maid, but you're basically a slave. Like, you're not allowed to leave the house unless it is approved by them, and they take your passport. And it's not even just South Sudanese; it's Ugandans, Kenyans, so many
Even
people.
East Asians as well.
Correct. So if,
And most of the time, they're tricked. So they're tricked thinking that they're going there to have like an opportunity and work a job.
nope.
And then they find themselves in a situation to where they're trapped.
Yeah,
you know?
they literally take your passport. So what are you gonna do? What you can't leave. You know,
Right.
You can't even leave go back to your home country.
Right.
So when society says those things happen, you can't discredit anybody of whatever experiences that they went through that they decide to share.
Right.
And it happens across the board. I know people in America that I feel bad to say, you guys who were brought straight to Texas right away had a blessing.
Man, what?
I don't know.
I don't know about that one.
Wait, listen.
I
don't know
can't
about
wait to
that
hear
one.
how you feel about that.
And the only reason I go about it is, imagine the Sunni people that left a predominantly society, the people that reflect them, and get put in North Dakota. The people that get put in Canada. The people that get put in Germany and Switzerland, and people that get put in all these predominantly Caucasian places that now they truly are basically, you could say, a circus act to an extent, because people are odd and like a black man goes to Asia, they're seen as a circus act because they don't see too many of them. Correct.
But honestly, like, I could see that perspective, but someone who came here at 4 years old, like, sometimes I feel bad. I wish I was able to grow up in Sudan or Africa. So I feel like you guys kind of had a sense of identity of knowing who you were.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for people that came to the Western world,
right?
Depending where you were based in the Western world, you've seen xenophobia happen in front of your eyes, so you didn't pay too much attention to it.
Yeah.
Right. So
I feel like we experienced it too, though, like
We
in
did.
a different,
It
you know, I
definitely-
see what you're saying, but I don't want to like invalidate. Like, it really was hard growing up here as a black person, as a South Sudanese African person. And like, you guys experienced it too when you guys came, even though you came a little bit later. Like, it was the same for us. We were just here earlier, and we didn't have that background of having grown up back home to see other people that look like you all the time. So for me, it was like, what is so wrong with being black? I didn't get to like have grown up in Africa to where it's a nation of all black people, and like, you don't know you're black. It's just like you just exist. Everyone looks like you.
But
So-
Egypt is different.
Egypt is different.
Egypt
Yeah.
is-
Yeah.
I actually went to Egypt this past summer for my uncle's wedding, and I had a great time. It's just one problem I had is that all the Egyptians couldn't stop staring, and I'm like, bro, what is up?
Even till now,
even till now, because I'm
Wow.
asking my uncle, I'm asking the people we were with, my dad, I'm like, bro, why are they just staring? But that's how they are. They've always been like this.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I went to Egypt. I stayed for a day. Going to, I don't remember where. I think it was South Sudan. I was going to South Sudan. We stayed in Egypt for one day, and yeah, it was interesting.
take a picture. It'll last
even
longer.
till now, that
Oh,
blows
yeah.
my mind though, because South Sudanese have been in Egypt for
a
like
long
decades.
time.
Oh my
now,
gosh,
so that's crazy.
Yes, and you know what they assume? They assume that also like South Sudanese people, especially the ones that are wearing suits at the airport, that they have money. They assume that South Sudanese people
Wow.
are rich. And somebody said that in the comments too. They're like, yeah, they'll treat you badly. They'll discriminate against you unless they see that they know you have money or think you have money. And that's also
Man.
true too. Like, money is also a factor when it comes to like how they treat you.
How did
They'll-
that make you feel though? Like, they were staring at you, like
at first I was like, okay, but then because we were there for 3 weeks, every single day, it didn't matter where we were. If we were at the store, just walking around, it just from the little kids to people who were a lot older. It's such a just a deep stare. I'm like, I know I look good, but damn.
You feel objectified?
Man, not even that. It's just like, what are you trying to say? Like they're saying things with their eyes, but they don't want to say anything. It's like, because someone I asked is like, why do they do this? Like, man, they're wicked people. They're thinking, some people aren't, I don't want to say all of them, but he just told me like most of them, they just be thinking crazy things.
And it's crazy because the original Egyptians looked like you. Like, we are the original, like,
that was another comment that came up a lot. A lot of people were saying, actually, if you really want to get into it, the original Egyptians were people that looked like us, like the ethnically Black Africans. So that's another topic that we need to look into.
We need to get a historian in here.
There were times where I would just smile back. They wouldn't smile back, of course, but I would just be smiling at them.
Hey, man, I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah.
Man, it was nothing, bro.
I'm here for you, man. I'm here for you.
I enjoyed my time.
I got you a hug after this, all right?
Sure, man. I need that.
Problem.
But it was just like staring. It wasn't
just off. Because I mean, of course I don't go there. Because usually if someone's just staring, it's like, is there a problem?
Right.
Over there,
but they didn't say anything.
They say nothing.
Okay, that's good.
That's
better.
I'd rather you be vocal than non-vocal.
I'm like, Kev, y'all, I'm like, what's going on?
Right.
Even an African-American person commented and said that they traveled to Egypt and they knew right away from the airport that dark-skinned Black people
talk to you different. They really
were treated differently.
I noticed that. So when I was at when we first arrived to Egypt, it was me, my mom, my sister. I'm just looking at how the people at the airport they talk differently. Especially like when I saw how they were talking to us and talking to other people. They were softer with the more light-skinned people, of course. But when it came to us, it was just like, I don't think they didn't care, but it was just like, just get along.
Right.
So.
And that's a big thing because I feel like there's a lot of racism within Africa, especially when you go to North African countries.
Man. Racism in the Arab world. Let's talk about it. This is Mariam Hussein from Morocco 2020 doing blackface on TV. Here is Tanya Saleh from Lebanon doing blackface in Lebanese TV. Here is an Egyptian show doing a blackface in 2018 in mockery to African people. Here are some of the victims of blackface, like the Sudanese are commonly mocked in Arabic media. Melanated Egyptian Nubian, which is a minority in southern Egypt today. Also the Yemeni Black Arabs or melanated Arabs and minority. And the funny thing is that these melanated Sudanese Egyptians, Yemenis are some of the original people, but they are usually in a lower caste in society and heavily oppressed by racism.
There's racism in South Sudan right now.
It's all over.
I feel like that's what we split, bro.
Are you talking about tribalism or racism?
Same thing.
No, that's
we
not
all
the same
black though.
We all black.
Say you got rid of the word tribalism. What else would you call it? Racism.
We're the same race.
Well, yeah,
extent.
racism is like towards another race, and tribalism is towards another tribe. So it's just different a little bit. A little bit.
We got shade wars.
It's just,
That, I would agree. Yeah,
we got shade wars.
Shade wars is one thing, but look at why we split from the north. A lot of that had to do with the discrimination from Arab people to South Sudanese people.
Correct.
Welcome.
It's that, man.
This is deja vu. This is deja vu. Because didn't this happen the last episode?
Oh, if you're wondering what's happening for our listeners, Emmanuel just walked into the studio.
And he brought gifts.
And he brought gifts again.
The worst gift, but all right.
Listen, he brought gifts.
Isn't the man who created that canceled?
It's over. Welcome to the studio, Emmanuel. We are talking about xenophobia. Let's get him set up.
Emmanuel is in the studio. Everyone say hi to Emmanuel.
What's up?
Emmanuel.
This is what happens when you wake up.
I cannot.
After getting beat up by women.
Should we get Emmanuel up to speed, or should we just go ahead and continue the conversation?
Let's just continue.
Yeah,
I feel like he'll hop on.
We don't like Emmanuel like that, like I said before.
Well, so we're pretty much just talking about xenophobia.
Oh, from our perspective.
I was speaking on South Sudan, and I was saying the prejudice and the tribalism is basically racism because we have a shade war, essentially.
Yeah, we do have a shade war. But like that shade war was like North versus South. Though,
no, it's still going on right now.
You still think we have like
to an extent.
Educate us. Tell us.
That's where skin bleaching comes in because there is a different treatment for lighter skinned people.
There is a different treatment for lighter skinned people. Also, even within your own people,
Yeah.
there's a shade war where people are saying, "Oh, you're not. I'm lighter than you. I'm better
Lighter
than you."
equals better.
Yeah.
Even though it's 11:58 to 11:59, it's just right there. Just that one timing, you know.
I don't think the skin bleaching is like because of shade wars in South Sudan. I think it's just more so internalizing
But
what has been.
I think it all is interconnected
Wait,
because
are we pretending like men don't like literally choose lighter brides, or like they didn't even tell y'all to like bleach?
It's actually your like maybe your aunts that will tell you.
the
So that
women.
it's more internalized.
But
I think,
why are they doing that? Do you think it's because they've seen preferential treatment towards
That's what they've
lighter
been
skinned
through.
women, so
That's
they
what they've
feel
been
the
through.
need to just massacre? That trickles down from the discrimination that people feel from Arab people in Egypt or North Sudanese. So if I'm lighter skinned, I'll probably be treated better and be seen as beautiful.
Yes.
Because you can see even in North Sudan, a lot of people, they would do their makeup like the face would be like 5 shades lighter, and then their body will still be black.
I feel like that's been internalized through us being interconnected to the Arab world for so long, and how like you said, being discriminated against, and yes, being lighter skin was the beauty standard. But I don't think us as South Sudanese are still carrying that on.
I'll tell you, for one reason I said shade wars, and it wasn't even for that. It was more for the fact that you could walk into a certain. Say I walk into an Equatorian conference, hypothetically. They're going to look at me like, "Oh, we know you're not Equatorian. We could tell." Why? Because of your shade.
I don't agree. I feel like
To
I
an
really
extent.
wouldn't know.
I've been mistaken. People have asked me if I'm Dinka before or spoken to me in Dinka. So
And why did
I
they
don't
assume
know.
that?
Not think you was Dinka.
Yes, as kids, people have literally at our events, they've spoken to me in Dinka. And then I'd be like, oh, I don't understand. And then,
why
you know,
would you think they might have came to you? Because that could show certain features. Sometimes your shade is your feature that would dictate you to say, hey, you might be from this place or this tribe or this.
But there's Dinka
ethnic
people
group.
that are lighter too.
There
so
are.
It's,
And
you
sometimes
know,
they get mistaken to be a tribe they're not.
we do have this stereotypical look. Hey, if you don't look like this, then you have to be something other. So what was that lady's name on Facebook? She was talking about how she was being discriminated against for being light-skinned in Juba. Remember? She was talking about how...
I saw that on Facebook.
Yes, they were treating her differently because she was lighter. And she was saying like how she was having a hard time.
Is she biracial?
And no, she wasn't biracial.
I
She was
thought
just
she was
lighter.
biracial.
She was like brown skin, like caramel
Look,
color.
So
So
how
in
can
South
we-
Sudan, you stand out.
So then that proves the point that in South Sudan
Especially with that sun.
we're not like pushing the whole light is right like mindset that we did when we were connected to the North. Yes, we wanted to assimilate into that culture, so we took their culture, their food, their language, and then also like if they were lighter than us and they were.
Do you think
more
colorism
preferred.
is not a factor still
in South Sudan? I mean,
Honestly,
I can't. I don't live in South Sudan, so I don't even want to go there.
Do
'cause, you know,
we
they eat us
have our
up
model?
every
What do
time.
our models in South Sudan look like? What do our posters
That's
look like in
now.
South Sudan?
But please tell me that 90% of the aunties that you know growing up were not bleaching.
Aunties, exactly.
So you
the
can't,
older
you
generation.
can't say, yeah, that's literally the generation like our parents, right?
because
above us.
they went through the war. They're like actually connected to
So
like.
do you think our
Khartoum.
generation people are not bleaching as much as they were before?
Maybe because that's more nuanced
Just
because
the bleach
even
got
in
better.
America
It's
we
better
have
quality.
in America.
I don't know
Do
anyone
you
that's
think
bleaching.
that with the models
It looks
going
more
viral
natural.
and stuff, it has made us be more comfortable to where we don't feel the
It
need
has
to
become
bleach
more
as much as our parents did?
So as a dudes, we know because like I mean we'll see certain girls and we'll be like, I remember you weren't that shade like 5 years ago.
But do you think our generation is not pressured as much as maybe our moms?
That's the same amount of
who
pressure.
Most of the aunties were bleaching.
I think it's
like,
I think it's even more
a
pressure
normal
now
thing.
because like okay, so now we're getting more models that they love us for our tone in America. In America, right? But back home it's not the same necessary pressure. And I don't even think they get the same representation. So they're not getting the same I would say like not propaganda, but like images of those Sudanese women being pushed in South Sudan where they're like, oh yeah, they love you over there. They love you for your colors. They love you for this. They don't get that.
Yeah,
And
I think when we were like when it was like both countries, like the North and the Southern region, then yes, I can understand the pressure because we were like not looked at as beautiful, the Southern region. So we tried our best to assimilate in any way that we could. So I can understand that.
I think it goes wider than just even the issues we're having within South Sudan and Sudan, our country itself, because when we talk about xenophobia, when you look at East Africa, when they say young East African girl, they're thinking of an Ethiopian girl.
Yep. Yeah, we talked about that.
Or an Eritrean girl or a Somalian girl. They're not picturing South Sudanese women. That's the thing. When they talk about East Africa, most of the time we're not included in that conversation. Our phenotype, like how we look, is not what people think when they think of East African beauties. Whether we're in Uganda or Nairobi or wherever, there is also another type of xenophobia that we experience just being
dark skin.
Like we're the darkest people in the world. So wherever colorism happens all over the world, it happens on another level for us.
No, yeah, I agree. But I'm talking about just in our country, South Sudan.
Like even my pops, we used to have this conversation of like, why do you look at things through the Western lens so much? And I was blessed to be able to get it from my pop's perspective. He's all like, bro, at the end of the day, they started this a couple thousand years ago. Specifically because they saw the beauty so much. There's a reason why whenever the
scared of us, man.
When the Greeks described the most beautiful women in the world, they weren't describing women of certain ilk. They were talking about African women and the dark-skinned beauties.
Do you guys think, to Christine's point, do you guys think that when we talk about, Drake says young East African girl,
they're talking about Ethiopians.
He's talking about the Horn of Africa, like Somalia.
He has I've never seen Drake with no dark skin. Anyone beyond the paper bag.
I put that on. I never seen. Oh, like Serena Williams.
We're not gonna say that.
Which is
he's not talking about us.
Which is okay. Because I hate
grew up
when
in Toronto, and
I don't want people to feel like we're thirsty. Yeah, as a dark-skinned woman, I never want people to feel like, sometimes it's like I understand, but I don't like policing. If they don't date dark-skinned women, that's on them. It's not like we're begging. Like,
and I agree. I think it would be better to be dodged than to be dogged. Like, I would much rather someone avoid me than to hold on to me and dog me
I
out.
love that. So. It's better to be dodged than to be dogged. I love that.
I always put young East African girl in my captions, thinking that I'm included in this.
It's not for us.
Yeah, we've experienced this just being South Sudanese women. I realized that the world does not find, especially in Africa, they don't have a good perception of South Sudanese people. When I've been out, like, we've had people approach us and be like, oh, where are you from, blah, blah, blah. And then when you say you're South Sudanese, it's always like they're taken aback, like, what? Like, they weren't expecting you to say that.
I thought you were something else.
There's just caricature that they have in their mind of what a typical South Sudanese person
and
is
sadly,
look like.
dark to them is like, has an ugly connotation. Colorism and xenophobia go hand in hand. Is that what we're saying?
I think it's the whole thing. I think the whole system in general is like designed to work together. It's like a fist. It's like bam, 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 all together.
It's like racism, xenophobia, colorism.
I literally commented and said, it's so hard to be a South Sudanese person. We're not accepted anywhere. Like, I don't know if you saw that comment, but they were literally like, it's very hard to just exist as a South Sudanese person.
Go back home. You accepted back home.
Exactly, but the reality is because of conflict, we're everywhere, So that depressed the hell out of me when I read that.
No, but like let's be honest with ourselves here. We are accepted in the United States. I would say as a body to be used. I know it sounds crazy, but as a body to be used. I think when you're a commodity. Then you're accepted for a period of time to be used for certain things. And then outside of that, you're not seen anymore. Yeah. I think in the rest of the world, they don't see the South Sudanese struggle. So they don't know the South Sudanese struggle. So they just assume South Sudanese people are just rare. Yeah. When there are millions of us, right?
I feel like we can definitely all relate to this. When we first came to this country, especially as children or just going to these predominantly white schools or everything, man, the names.
Utah, bro. Salt Lake City, home of the Mormons.
Bro. Yeah, staying.
Wait, time out. Can I have this conversation with y'all? So Mormons, right? They say the darker your skin was, the more you were with the devil.
Did you say
devil,
Mormons?
Right? Yes, Mormons.
Oh wow,
Mormons.
I didn't know that.
Mormons, right?
The Mormon religion.
They had like a conversation.
They said they literally think that.
Wait, what did they say?
So Mormonism, basically, they said that God and the angels that fell from God
were
dark, and so the people that were with those specific fallen angels were cursed to have darker skin. So I'm saying, do you look at Sudanese as the most demonic group of people on the fucking planet when you see us? And especially if they're in Utah, how do they look at y'all?
And I'm gonna tell you,
Mormons, drop in the comments.
Within the state of Utah itself.
He's from Utah. So
even within the state of Utah, like there were Sunnis families that joined the Mormon church and then fell out later. I know Sunnis people who've joined the Mormon religion, gone on missions.
Wow.
And then come back and then denounce the church because they realized the teachings within the Book of Mormon itself was not aligned with the life that who they are. Like this church does not accept me for me.
Yeah.
How much trauma
I
was
did not know that there were Sudanese Mormons. That is
either.
so
I'm
interesting.
not gonna lie to you.
What?
There are Sudanese. They were not born into Mormonism.
Yeah, of course.
They
but
came to Utah.
Yeah.
Missionaries come knock on your door every single day. Like,
So they're recruiting
They're recruiting,
Africans.
just like Jehovah's Witnesses.
They're on their
Wow.
bikes.
And is it strange to me? But like, why do they always tell half truths when it comes to even with other religions, but specifically Mormonism for Black people? Why is it always half truths?
It's always half truth. How do they get
Every
you?
religion.
Everything is a half truth until they get you it.
Because I saw that bar. I said, "You Black evil." I was like, "Damn, I must be the most evil motherfucker."
If you show up to Utah within the first week
I'm
of
honestly
October,
tired. As a
or the
dark-skinned
first
person
week-
in this world, I'm
It's
tired.
exhausting.
Man,
the
I
first week
agree.
of
No,
April,
bro.
there's a conference weekends, nothing but a sea of white folks.
Mhm.
60, 80, 100,000 people just fly in. Majority of them white.
Yeah. Well, we just
So-
want to introduce. Go ahead. We had someone join us in the studio, so I'll let Sarah introduce him.
South Sudanese time. I love it. This is real. This is real. Okay, we love it.
And you are here at the perfect time because we were just talking about xenophobia, basically. So KK was talking about his experience in Egypt, and we're just going around the table talking about colorism and like how that all manifests itself within like how South Sudanese are perceived. Did you have any experience with xenophobia? I know Sarah said that you grew up. Where did you grow up?
Cairo.
Oh, so you were in Egypt too.
You were in Egypt.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I was
we were
number one
talking
student
about
2 years in a row in San Luanga.
yes.
Shout
Okay.
out to that.
Great. So
Love
he
to
just
bring it
talked
down.
about what he experienced because people were gaslighting in the comment on his videos. So did you experience any xenophobia, like bullying, not only verbal but like actually physical, or what was your experience like?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Cairo, you get called chocolata. You get called a lot of stuff.
gosh,
while walking down the street. I didn't know the term before. This is my first time actually. I didn't even know what xenophobia meant.
No,
You just
for
explained it.
Egypt.
I'm
That's
not
straight
gonna
racism.
lie.
Yeah.
That's not xenophobia.
That's not even xenophobia.
That's straight
is
racism.
it? It's
Yeah.
just straight up racism.
A lot of it is racism and ignorance and
Getting hit in the
so-
face just because you a Black man in Egypt.
Yeah.
Or spit on?
Yeah.
Spit on? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
They
so
didn't-
true.
They didn't try that with me. Mm-mm.
Yeah, and Edward
Not even
actually
upstairs.
is someone who grew up in America. He said he recently went back for a wedding, and he even was getting stared down every single day till now. Like, I don't know if that was 2023,
It
Edward.
was
or-
literally last year.
Yeah, so like till this, which is crazy to me because there's so many South Sudanese who live in Egypt. It's weird to still, as a Black, and they have tourism. Like people
Yeah.
go to Egypt every year, like to see the pyramids and everything. So you would think they would have seen a Black person.
The American
happens
passport
a
is
lot.
different.
Yeah,
The American passport adds a different layer to you.
That's
I
true.
mean,
Because you're
even
protected.
like when I went to Dubai and I went to a water park and for the first couple of minutes, like a lot of people were coming to take pictures with me, and I thought at first it was strange, but I thought maybe they thought I was a celebrity.
That
or
happens to me
something.
too.
And then I realized they were
That
just taking
happened to me
pictures
too
with me
in
because I was the
Mexico.
only Black person in that water park.
Mm.
You know,
Why are people fascinated with Black
I-
people? Because I'm seeing a lot of videos of like Black people going anywhere in the world.
mean, 'cause
We couldn't do anything or go anywhere. We went to the beach and
Oof, yeah, I got sent this video. We got to talk about it. If you haven't seen the full video, this South Sudanese woman went to Egypt, and when she was on the beach, these Alexandrian Egyptians were just terrorizing them, just wouldn't leave them alone. And yeah, regardless of what anyone else tells you, Egypt has a huge problem with racism and colorism, and what she was experiencing was definitely a version of that. And I don't need her word for it. I've seen it firsthand multiple times with friends I've brought in from America or Nubian friends or whatever. People are really terrible over there sometimes.
If we're honest, in Dubai, they're slaves.
Listen, leave that. It's like we're animals. If you were walking down the street at a water park and you see a lion chilling there all calm and tame, would you not want to take a picture with the lion? They look at you.
I
like
love how you
an
said
attraction.
lion because they're fascinated, but they're
Fascination.
still also in fear of us.
Correct.
And at the same time,
weird.
they
They
think
know
we're
what it is.
inferior to them. So it's just so many weird things. It's like you don't know how to perceive the
It's deep.
attention.
The way I look at it, they're looking at us as we are basically a circus act. When they run up to you and everyone's lining up to take a photo with you, and you're not a celebrity, you're just a regular guy, you are an attraction to them. They're going to take that photo, post it up on their Facebook wall with all their people from where they're at, and be like, look what I found.
well, a lot of it is
crazy.
That is the
and
truth.
true.
It is a look
what
what I found, and look at the photo. I took a picture.
Yeah.
of
This
what I
specimen.
found.
Exactly.
I didn't know they existed ever. I thought it was just a TV
I
thing.
saw one in real life.
Like, oh, right,
Literally.
right. Not a No Thug movie.
Left the
A
house?
real-
Oh my gosh.
a real
Yeah.
Black
I saw one in
Left the
real
house.
life.
Crazy.
Go
And
back.
Not a
that
gangster
brings me
movie.
to TikTok. So there's been this Black woman in luxury trend that was going viral for like the last year or so. Once dark-skinned Black women started to get in on it, people started to feel some type of way. And there was this, I have to find a TikTok, and she was talking about how society is uncomfortable with Black women stepping outside of the box they put us in, especially dark-skinned women, of being servants or, slaves or having to toil and labor. So it's like this perception that they have of us of being like the serving class or working class. So when you see Black women buying designer or going on luxury vacations or, just doing all this, working 6-figure, whatever, having businesses, I feel like it makes people uncomfortable. And that bothers me because are we not allowed to live? It's like for us, we can't have soft life.
Yeah.
Soft life is not for women that are my skin tone.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that in some capacity. I do think that sometimes our people were kind of materialistic a little bit. Like we haven't.
What do you mean our people? You mean every person on the planet of the earth? I've never seen.
No, the black dollar goes a lot farther in retail and material items than the white dollar.
We spend so much money on hair.
Black people believe in the fact that it's not in you, it's on you.
The percentage,
literally,
you got to have it on you.
So it's percentage wise.
Majority of Black folks
it's
are materialistic. Why? Because we never had
to be accepted. We haven't had it for so long.
Black people care so much about always having their hair done and having a nice outfit. Black people care more about looking good than anything, and that's why we're the class that buys everything that the designers create.
But have you seen our architecture, our paintings? It's in our DNA. We like to show off. We like to wear gold.
That's true. But we're the consumer class.
Our money goes out and never circulates.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And I will take accountability for that because I do. I'm a huge consumer and things that like I'm sure people who have more money than me don't even.
We all are. We all are.
So I think it's like overcompensation. We've always been like we've never experience like soft and good, like the good things in life, and so now we have to overcompensate by wearing designer or
financial. We need financial literacy because there's this quote that I read.
Yeah.
The financial literacy is so important. There's this quote that I read that said that everybody doesn't deserve to have money. And the reason listen, hear me out.
No,
hear me out. So he was basically, I forgot, I have to find the quote. He was saying that everyone doesn't deserve to have money because if you did a study where you gave everyone a large amount of money, if you gave it like a year or two, I forgot what the time period was, you would find that 2 to 5 years, let's just say, for example, you would find that money would end up back with the people that were supposed to have it in the first place. Because people are not going to invest most people are going to go and buy stuff. And then the people who are the elite, who are making all the stuff for us to buy, who are not the consumer class, will end up with that money in the end anyway.
The biggest difference between the rich and the poor is their mindset. If you take all the money in this world and we divide it equally, it will soon go back to its own pocket. If you take away all my wealth, my Airbnb, my watches, my cars, my network, all my properties, if you tell me to start from scratch again, I can guarantee you that I'll become a multimillionaire again in the next 3 to 5 years. Why is that? It's because of my mindset.
But I think
are the elite actually making it, or is it that the people that should be making it don't have an opportunity to make it? So like when you talk about
the idea is we have a consumer mindset. So people will just go and buy stuff to pacify themselves, to make themselves feel comfortable, versus investing or using their money in a way to where they would be able to make more money. That's why financial literacy is so important, because it'll change your mindset regarding money.
Go ahead and jump in there, Vita.
I feel like it's a big statement to say that people shouldn't have money. I think it just really goes back to, like, of course, people aren't educated on how to spend their money. And I think even being a first generation American, my parents being in this country for the first time, I don't think they were educated, and I carried on and I collected their habits and their relationship to money. And it's been a lot trying to break that for myself. But I also think about, like, let's think of African nations. Like, that's like saying African nations don't deserve autonomy. Whenever, like, African nations, they were colonized and they were under a certain ruler. And then they were like, okay, we're good. We're going to give power to this person. And they left. And then what you have is a situation where these African nations aren't able to really do the work that they need to do to make sure that these countries can stand on their own. I think it really is by design to make it so that they don't stand on their own.
Right.
So that they don't have relationships with their neighboring countries, so they can trade with each other and have that, relationship. And I think it's all by design so that we are dependent on, we are consumers. We are always the one with our hand out, instead of being the ones that also have things to give and are also taking. So
and I agree with that, because we don't have a head start like a lot of people do have in life when it comes to learning about investments and stuff like that.
I agree with her, but to clarify my statement, I'm not saying everyone doesn't deserve to have money. Obviously, you need money to survive. I mean to have to be wealthy, to have an excess amount
still
of money.
That doesn't make it any better. That's still
but just to explain it makes sense, because if you don't know how to manage a little bit of money, how the hell are you going to manage millions of dollars? That's why people.
Do you think the elite know how to manage their money?
Yes, that's why they're in control of us, and we're the working class. That's why people win the lottery, and within a few years they end up just back where they started.
But I'm gonna argue it, right? Because the elite, if they knew how to manage their money by themselves as much as you claim they do, all these big investment bankers would not be in business. Simple as that. You delegate somebody to do the work for you. If I hit the lotto, I would go hire an accountant at Goldman Sachs. Say, hey, I got this much money to invest. I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
But I know where I could take it, where somebody knows what to do with it.
Yeah, it's just us Black people and African people. Sometimes we just don't have the resources that a lot of other people have. Yeah, we don't have the knowledge.
So being able to manage money, because it's like, how are you gonna, if you're making like $50,000 a year and you're broke because you're spending more than you make and you don't know how to manage your money, it's not gonna, what I'm saying is it's not gonna change as you grow in tax brackets. If you can't manage the little that you have, how will you be able to manage a lot of money? But I see what you're saying.
I've been in situations where I was making 40, 50K a year.
Yeah, I feel like we're having the same point.
And living right. Once you make more money, that extra, you can decide what you want to do with it. I can either spend that extra, now that I make a lot more, or I could save that extra.
But I think you're talking as yourself. She's talking as far as generality.
Correct. And generality, I do agree.
Macro
level.
The way you
said, in generality, can they even afford to even have extra money to spend stuff?
I think what you're really trying to say, the message when you were trying to say not everyone deserves to be rich, is the fact that I'm a firm believer that in this world, not everybody's going to be a boss. There's going to be some people that are going to be employees the rest of their lives. There's going to be people that do certain jobs, and that's their top point. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just saying there's some people that have that drive and that dedication to want a lot more, and there's people that don't. There's people that are going to settle, and that's part of life, and there's some people that are going to try not to settle and try to overachieve. And that's just how I look at it.
But those people that don't want to overachieve still should be able to have a livable way to live. Should be able to be decent.
And I'm saying settling. I'm not saying they're going to sit here and make $7 an hour the rest of their lives, but they might take a job that makes them a little bit over just not even middle class. It's going to be a little bit lower class.
You're talking about big money.
I'm saying there's going to be somebody that's going to be making $65 a year.
I'm saying
they're comfortable with that for the rest of their lives because that's the only option they got.
I'm saying as Africans, we shouldn't even say something like that, because now you're just telling the person that's back home that just because you don't have the ambition to live above your means or being able to do what we do over here, that they're kind of useless.
Like I said, not everyone's going to be a boss. There's going to be some people that are going to hold good jobs and good positions. They're not a boss. They still report to somebody, but they have good jobs and they make good money. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's going to be somebody that's going to be the boss of them.
But my biggest problem is the people who are in wealth and are in power are the most opportunistic pieces of crap that you'll understand, because they're not giving those people the value that they deserve. Because if you didn't have those workers that are there to do the mundane things every day in and out, you wouldn't be able to get the profit that you get.
It's the old argument of the man that owns a pencil plant. The employees are going on strike and saying, we need more money, A, B, and C. And this man's like, if it was not for me, none of this would be here. I'm the one who went out and got the lead and got the wood and got the machines and invested all this money. I am for capitalism, because somebody has to go out and take the risk to create for other people. Because if that man never did all those things,
they would not have jobs.
You mean his grandfather or his great grandfather who actually did the work?
It's about the environment.
He hung up on that first quote. That first quote was just a shock, but I think it was Grant Cardone who actually said it.
He a scammer himself? Like, what?
No, but what we're really talking about here is access to information.
It's mindset, yeah.
Literally, it's mindset and access to information.
Yeah.
That is what separates people because they're not smarter than you.
So that's the child in Congo.
They just have access to more information than you.
Yeah, and that's what he was saying. It's pretty much not everybody deserves to be wealthy because not everybody has the resources or understanding. And that it was just like you said.
There's people here who are privileged who their dad will set them up. Like by the time they're getting into college, they already have a financial plan for their life set up.
And some of
they
those people
know
still mess
about
up.
how you should pay yourself first and all these other things that are very important and about investing and about having a high yield savings account and about a 401 and all that type of
Life
stuff,
insurance.
self-directed Roth IRA and all that.
Heavy on the life insurance.
That's what I'm saying. We need that as a South Sudanese community because, like I always say, we don't have no businesses. We don't have any businesses here in Dallas. We don't own anything. We don't own our own church. We don't have a restaurant. We don't have a dealership. We don't have a car repair shop. But we have people who do all these things, but we don't own anything. Ethiopian people, they actually buy real estate, commercial real estate, to where they will lease spaces within, like they'll buy a building and everyone in that building is an Ethiopian business.
My
we
question for
really
that
love
is,
to party. We don't even have our own.
how long
lounges.
have we been coming to the States?
That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
No, how long have we been coming to the States?
At minimum,
As much as we love hookah.
exactly as much as we love to smoke hookahs, as much as we love to chill.
So
and hang
it's
out,
really a
we need
bigger
lounge.
conversation.
Yeah.
Can I push back on
Y'all
that?
lit up. Y'all on fire right now.
Can I push back on all that? I'm pushing back on all that by saying one thing and one thing only. We talk like we are the most blood-soaked hand motherfuckers on the planet. Because like the way that y'all just spoke, y'all telling that little boy in Congo, it's your fault that you're a slave.
No, we didn't know.
It's about your environment.
But it's
in Congo though. We're in America.
But let me get into my bag because all of this is even possible for us to even live this kind of lifestyle that we're living right now. It requires their suffering. So for us to say, oh, these poor people will never understand. Well, this suffering mindset.
Somebody said
You just said it.
I never
poor
said
people will
these
never be
poor
able
people
to.
would
Once they
never
get money,
understand.
once
Okay.
they get money, these people will never understand how to
No,
like be
I
rich
say
and
they're
be
not
selfish.
equipped with the knowledge and information they need to be able to manage their money and invest.
My brothers and the boys is day traders. I have this conversation all the damn time. You know what it is? Is you have to be willing to capitalize on people's suffering to even be good at capitalism. You have to ignore certain aspects of it and be like, you know what? Nah, fuck everybody else. I got to get mine for my peoples. And let's be honest with yourself. That's the truth of it. We have to be able to have that hyperfixation of like, fuck everybody else. I got to be in my own corner, make money for my people, and then just do what the fuck
And
I
you
need
know
to
what?
do. And it requires a self-identification that you just ignore the rest of the problems of the world. And as South Sudanese, it's a wild thing to say because, nigga, we come from a result of all that bullshit. We literally.
I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna agree with.
We haven't really heard from him, so go ahead.
I don't think we even need to do that. It's like 5 billion people. There's gonna be somebody suffering somewhere. So for me to even
Oh my God.
have a sit in a corner to think about somebody suffering.
7.7 billion.
Yeah, that's not up to
really
me.
close to 8.
You're supposed to see who's in front of you and help them out. That's how I feel, and it kind of multiplies from there. But I think from Christina's point of view is like she's talking about the mindset of a people, of a person. So like when she said like when Ethiopians come here, their mindset is they want to open up a business. When an Indian comes here, their mindset is okay, they want to open up a business. If you actually go to every like 80% of motels in America is owned by an Indian. There's a reason for that because that mindset they already have in their mind. When you come here, this is the plan. They're not opening up no garage. They don't know how to do maybe they probably know how to do with cars, but they're not opening up garages because that's not their the stuff that they have a knowledge of. They've put all of their knowledge in running hotels, running gas stations, and everybody that comes here, they put them on that. Same thing with Ethiopians. Most of them Ethiopian restaurants are come by Ethiopians that are coming here, and they're all owned by Ethiopians. They have Ethiopian-run waitresses, bartenders, etc. So they have a safety net for their people when they come here. So now when you come here, you know that there's a safe space for you. And if you go to school or whatever, you decide to go somewhere else, you can go ahead and do that. Same thing with the Chinese, same thing with the Japanese, etc. But on our end, we really don't have no safe space. When somebody from South Sudan comes here, they just here.
We're young.
I'm sorry. I'm
we're young
gonna have to agree with the manual. I'm gonna have to side with the manual. Yeah, I have to side with the manual.
We haven't been here that long to be able to even establish ourselves that much in this country.
And I think the quote that you stated,
How much?
it doesn't.
What do you think is the right amount of time?
That's too many excuses.
Well, no,
I think right now we're starting to develop it. Like you see it, we're just starting to develop our own narrative with our media. This is my big. This is what I was trying to say earlier, right? We're right now starting to develop a voice for ourselves in the media, right? Compared to every other group, we're probably one of the youngest. We are the youngest group to start developing our own music, our own entertainment, our own things that the rest of the world can be like, wait, I like that. Let me learn more about it. That's where you start making money off of it, because you can't just make money off our own people. You have to get money from somebody else that finds you
Why can't we make money off our own people? Our people work in this country.
We
need to patronize our own businesses.
I think,
like he said, when someone comes to South Sudan, they should be able to get a job at a South Sudanese grocery store or a South Sudanese tax office or something.
Hold on, I think
we've been here long enough. That's ridiculous.
I think what Emmanuel's
when
trying
did the first
to say,
people come to America? 1970s, 1980s.
Turn me up, Christine. What education did they have?
Hold on.
What education do they have?
A lot of them came to America for education. I got an uncle who went to Iowa State University in the 70s.
Y'all some real conservatives when it comes to y'all. Take yourself up by your goddamn bootstraps.
Yeah, I'm a conservative.
Get your shit together, you jungle boy.
When I vote this year,
I agree with the manual.
Okay,
that's it.
I want to hear why.
I want to hear you.
Why do you agree with the manual?
I want to hear what you want to say.
Okay, the Sudanese came in the 70s. Why wasn't there no Sudanese basketball players in the 80s?
Well, I think the quote. What was the quote? Like what Emmanuel's point is that it doesn't take into account like the exploitation of Black people and specifically African people. And so it's easy to say like, oh, Black people don't know how to like use their money or invest in this and that when we have been set behind by not even generations.
We've been set behind
like,
so long.
Like, years, centuries. And so, yeah, of course we don't know how to like, we're behind.
Sis.
We're behind. It's not, and that's not being a victim. That's literally just like stating truths and like trying to work it out. At some point we're going to get there. But
How
right
many
now,
generations
Hey,
is it going
Sarah?
to take for us to work it out though?
Sarah, I'm sorry. You've been you have been Team Emmanuel this whole time. He just made a comment. If Sudanese people have been here since the 70s, how come there's no Sudanese people in the NBA in the 80s? There was.
Oh.
There was. But that's my point. There was one. There was one. Right?
Was.
Now in our next generation, there's gonna be more and more. But here's the thing:
look at
Sudanese came in. You said that we came in the 70s, right? Right.
That's the early Sudanese that I know.
That was the crack epidemic, and racism went at an all-time high.
Emmanuel, stop it.
You're pretending like every African.
Y'all mentioned all these countries. You said India,
Emmanuel.
Asia, Ethiopia, all these countries. We don't have the same like history like as those people.
Same mindset.
No,
we don't have the same mindset.
We don't have the same
If you go to Sudan right now, if you go to Juba, who are the most business owners? Ethiopians and Somalians.
The mindset.
Are we going to act like South Sudan hasn't been in war for like 30, 40 years?
No,
like half more than our existence?
No, we're not going to argue that.
But
We're going to argue the mindset. We're going to argue the mindset of Sudanese culture.
But there are some
Sudanese culture is not the culture of
One
growing,
mic.
building businesses, and elevating yourselves off of hard work.
What time? When can we start a business?
How many
think about that when we've been in war for 30, 40 years
Can I
of
ask you
our
a question?
Somalia don't have a government and they're starting businesses.
Tarek, give me 1 second.
They're not-
Very simple. And the whole argument between all these other people and ethnic groups that are coming to the Western world and starting businesses because it's part of their culture and their trade. Because a lot of those places were known for having ports and trading. What port does South Sudan have? No port. So we don't know the essences of running businesses and doing trades and selling and buying things, right? Imports, exports, essentially. A lot of these people that come out from all these countries are in the import-export business. In other words, they're trading a good for a cost of money. Simple as that, a store or exchange of a service for a cost of money. But for us, the South Sudanese people, since we all came to America, what were our parents telling us to study? Political science. Why? Everyone deserves to be a politician. We want you to grow up and be a leader.
No.
They never told us we want you to grow up to be a businessman. You're either going to grow up, be a leader, be a doctor, or be in the military. Those are the three routes of Sudanese education.
You just know no engineers?
Engineers.
My brother was
the four engineers. So hypothetically, did they tell you you're going to grow up to be the owner of a tech company? Did they tell you you're going to grow up to be the biggest businessman, to have a bank? Did they tell you you're going to grow up to create a device that can control something for people?
But
no, they told you you're going to grow up to either be an engineer, a doctor, a military or police enforcement, or a politician. That's it.
But that goes back to the mindset because if you go there, who are the people with the money and the power, the political figures, the military, when they're not the people that's supposed to have that those powers.
But they get it through corruption.
It's a corrupt government.
If they get it through corruption,
because
that's all they see.
Yeah. So they see those corruptions, so they're telling people go into that corruption. Go into.
They're selling a false narrative. There's a lot of people in South Sudan that are educated, but there's not job opportunities. And we talk about tribalism. There's people that are in positions where they don't deserve to be in those positions, but they have the connections. They have the right relative in power. So they're not advancing the country. They're just, they're able to benefit from nepotism.
They're just there.
And they're not helping us. So that's why I never really am a big fan of representation. That doesn't mean anything to me, because you could be represented, but that doesn't mean that they're representing your interests just because they look like you. So
put in the work,
KK,
man.
I feel like you have something to say to that.
I got nothing to say to that.
Okay.
It's our first episode. I got nothing to say.
Oh, okay.
I'm
ready. Yeah, she said she wanted it.
Sarah, Christine, I'm doing this for you guys, all right? I want her to come back, so I got nothing to say to that.
No, she made great.
point. No, I ain't gonna argue
because it goes to the point of view of me saying like you're a stranger amongst your own people. Because for a lot of people, when they go to Sudan, they are a stranger amongst their own people. Because one, you're from America, so they automatically call you Khawaja. You may not be from the right tribe, so they're already seeing you're an outsider, even though you're in your own country. So a lot of the people there, they're not supposed to be in those positions of power. Nobody even can actually articulate what the South Sudanese economic model is. They don't know if it's capitalism, if it's communism, if it's socialism. They don't know if it's Austrian, if it's Keynesian. Nobody knows. We just know this guy is there, been there. He's been a president for I don't know how many years. There's never been an election, so he's basically a dictator.
Correct.
But we just go about it like, oh yeah, we call him president, and we celebrate every South Sudanese Independence Day, but nobody can actually articulate, give me a successful thing that South Sudan have done.
Correct. And I agree.
We ranked at the bottom of 167 countries in every metric. So so it is a mindset thing where we are individualistic when we come here, because we thinking back home, we have to be individualistic, because if you're for your people, you're not going to go far because there's somebody there that's going to put you down. So when you come here, you're like, I need to get my own. I need to make sure my family's straight, and then everybody else can benefit off of that once I make it. And by the time you make it,
do you expect
the baby to be able to walk whenever it's just born?
Emmanuel, stop.
Do you expect the baby to just walk right when it come out of mama fresh out the oven?
My baby would.
I appreciate it.
Spider.
The problem is with some of the talking points is like y'all act like we
individualistic.
Y'all act like no, but y'all act like South Sudan has not been through anything.
We're not in South Sudan.
But
we're in the diaspora. What is stopping us?
We are a product of family members who came from South Sudan.
We've been here for 50 years.
We're talking about investments and like businesses. My mom is a product of war. Like, she literally came here as a refugee. She didn't have time to teach me nothing about no investment.
I understand.
Or no business.
Me and you are basically like 30.
But that affects the diaspora. So to act like the war does not affect
it's 2 generations now.
No, but
do you have the capital to be able to change anything? Do we have the capital? Do we have the spending power to actually change South Sudan?
Exactly, that's a good question. Why do we not have the capital? That's when we can start creating solutions.
Because 3 billion went missing,
it down,
and nobody knows where that 3 billion went.
Because, like Tarek said, we're individualistic. So when we come here, we want to make sure we buy our house.
Capitalism by nature is individualistic.
We send money back to South Sudan to our family. We're comfortable, but as a community, we don't have anything collectively.
How does capitalism help?
Here's my problem.
If it's an individualistic
the talking
system?
point is like, white people are wealthy. They're doing well. They're making money. And look at South Sudanese.
It's not white people.
Africans.
It's
Why are we not getting our stuff together? And it's like, whoa.
Asians, Indians,
so
Chinese,
I agree.
Everybody.
I agree with Christine because
Chinese, really?
Listen, I agree with Christine because as South Sudanese ourselves, we are more on an individual mindset. We want to take care of us on our own. Where other cultures will come here, live in a household, etc., etc. There'll be 10 people in a house. We're gonna buy one house, pay it off in 2-3 years, and have a plan. We don't operate off the plan of growing with each other. We operate the plan of growing individually. Where I'll rather I have my own spot, my brother has his own spot, my mom and sister have their own spot, my other brother has his own spot. How come we're not all under one roof putting all our resources together?
Thank you, like Indians.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm about to blow all y'all out.
We cannot compare ourselves to Indians and Mexicans and Chinese.
He's talking about the not individualistic. Like the community.
Can I get to a point that's gonna be honest with y'all? India, what were they supported by? Britain. Britain actually gave them their trade system, everything that was in their country, right? They had that happen. China, all this stuff. They already had the same thing with Indian. Let me finish because Conroe was right the whole time when he was talking about how they've already had trade. We were in the middle of a civil war for how long? So we've never even had a trade system or anything to be in that conversation.
So we don't have the experience of it. But the biggest thing now,
we could do that in 12 years.
The biggest challenge that I want to put forward towards Sudanese people as a whole.
That was hundreds of years.
We need to find a way.
Takes time.
We need to find a way to actually grow as a
They
community.
figure out a way to buy tanks and artilleries.
So what's stopping?
They figured it out.
I'm just saying, as Sudanese people, within the next 10 to 15 years, we need to find a way to grow the country in the right direction. In other words, we need capitalism, people to start employment and start recirculating jobs for people, that people can go and have an everyday job.
Thank you.
Whether it's plants, farms, warehouses, whatever it is, we need to find a way. Markets, supermarkets, we need to find a way to create jobs. Number one.
Yeah, remove the people that's in power right now.
Yeah.
No, and I'm saying we have to find the way. Whatever the way is, we have to find it.
Do you hear what you're saying right now? Is like remove the people in power. Does that not require a revolution?
I am
That's
for
another civil war.
Does that not require more bloodshed?
I am for
does that not give the people that we quote unquote say have been running us the whole time
a episodes
more
ago,
leverage?
Somebody actually messaged us and asked this question. I think that it correlates with this conversation. They said, I wanted to see if we can speak more about ways of like government in South Sudan and what we can do here in America
how can you grow
to have our voices be able to be heard and to build a political structure, business structure, all of that. So what can we do as diaspora to help and build ourselves here in America, but also back home as well?
That's a great question and
a
great way to round out this episode. We talked about all the problems. It's time to talk about solutions, honestly, and to set goals. Like KK said, he just posed a suggestion for the community, something that we can work towards.
You got to leave that crutch
everyone
behind.
gets dealt a bad hand, but what are you going to do with it?
Exactly.
Do you expect the baby to
gotta play the
get up
cards
and
that
walk?
were
No,
dealt.
you got to start walking.
Do y'all think I'm just giving us excuses to not do anything?
No,
do y'all think I'm just being realistic with the time?
You said y'all are both right, because Emmanuel's speaking more of like
Emmanuel's
realistically
wrong.
our like timeline.
Yeah,
and,
but
like,
I don't want to focus on that.
Yeah.
I want to say, okay, this is the hand of cards we have.
And you're so like,
what can we do with what we got?
Exactly. So you're both not wrong. Nobody's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you
thank
play
you
the
guys
hand you're dealt.
Nobody answered the damn question.
We don't have the answers, but we're trying to talk about
part two.
Part two.
You know what we sound like every podcast? They be like, man, black people need to learn more education, but we will not educate you. Find your education $12.99 in the bottom of the link.
We're not going to solve the whole issue of our diaspora and back home on this podcast, but we can create
conversation,
spark the conversation to where change can actually come about.
We'll sell a planner that's called the Sosa, the Sosa Plan for Sudan,
All right.
and it will have nothing in it, and y'all can fill it in.
Close this out.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Ladies of Sosa podcast. We kind of steered away a little bit from xenophobia.
It all goes together.
It all
somehow,
goes
some
together
way.
in some capacity.
Interlocks.
Yes. Say your name and where they can find you on social media, and then we'll close out.
My name is Tariq. You can find me on Instagram, Arnabe, ARNABI20.
I'm Vida. You can find me on Instagram, VAIDAJOE. Vida Joe.
The name is Edward. You can find me on Edward Mitri. Mitri spelled MITRI_.
My name is KK. Find me on TikTok. Trying to get my TikTok numbers up. Trying to get a check at Koyom, KOYOM. Any questions you have on the logistics industry or trucking at all, holla at your boy.
Love it.
I'm Emmanuel Ngoy. _ Emmanuel Ngoy comedy. Y'all know me. Y'all see me in every fucking episode.
You know what it is.
Yeah,
They call you by name on the videos now. They're like, Emmanuel, stop. Emmanuel.
And they spell his name right.
Listen, if you're on social
love
media,
Emmanuel.
on
You're like
TikTok, and you need to find
Well,
Emmanuel,
thank you
just
guys
look
so
up Godzilla.
much for. What happened?
Who's Godzilla? Oh, that.
When he cheated on us.
Hey, that one
podcast.
Shout out to that podcast.
Shout out to the podcast that stole
put that
Emmanuel.
out there,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. But and then
Now
Emmanuel
you're
said,
trending.
"I believe in polygamy when it comes to podcasts." I
Yeah.
said, "Okay,
Hey, I respect it.
Yes.
Okay.
So thank you so much for watching the Ladies of Sosa podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Please
Surprise.
like, comment, subscribe. We will
Yes.
catch you guys in the next episode.
South Sudan. Oh yeah. You got me.